Super Bowl Special, brought to you by Advance Auto, Highland Myers, Pepsi, Hudson's in Pulaski, 11 West, the Best Western Red Lion Inn, Texas Steakhouse, Virginia Pork Industry, Nationwide, University Bookstore, Texaco, and Miller. Happy holidays, everyone, and thanks for making us a part of your Christmas. I'm Greg Roberts, along with Virginia Tech head coach Frank Beamer, coming to you from the Best Western Red Lion Inn in Blacksburg, Virginia, where it's warm and cozy here, and we hope it's the same for you, wherever you are. All you Hokie fans, here's Santa Claus. This is the man who has given every Virginia Tech fan a very Merry Christmas. What a present you've brought this year, Santa, a Sugar Bowl bid.
Well, Santa Claus has really been our coaches and players because they've done a great job, and but I'm proud of this football team. I think we got better as the season went along, and that's always gratifying to a football coach, and I'm really pleased about all the enthusiasm and excitement that's going on, not only here in Blacksburg and at Virginia Tech, but throughout the state about Virginia Tech football. That's something I've always wanted to happen, and it seems like it just continually builds up and gets better and better, and I'm really, really happy about that.
I tell you, Frank, and also you would have to be happy about the national recognition that this program's getting.
Really, you know, they're paying us a lot of money to come down there and play in this great bowl game, the Sugar Bowl. But you just think about how many times the name Virginia Tech, and it will be in national publications, go across the national wires, on national TV shows, and we couldn't buy that. You know, we got a great school and great academic school and great fans, and we're going to be able to show all those things off as we build up to the Sugar Bowl.
Well, settle in. We have a full hour to spend here as we get ready for the upcoming Sugar Bowl. And also, let me just mention, Coach, we're going to spend an hour talking about the Sugar Bowl today. And then next week, down in New Orleans, a 30-minute show coming up as we get ready for the Texas Longhorns down at the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. But right now, let's let you know that within this next hour, we're going to take a look at this season and what a season it was. A 9-game winning streak for the Hokies as they wrap up the 1995 season in grand fashion. And also some of these players who have been just outstanding. So stick around. Make yourself comfortable. We're coming right back.
When you travel to Southwest...
Special thanks for making us a part of your holidays. Coach Beamer, we're going to take a look back at this 1995 season, and what a season it was. First of all, the pressure was right on you guys. ESPN, national TV, Game 1 with Boston College.
Yeah, that was a big opening. And, you know, I think generally as a football team, I really felt like we would have a good football team. Certainly starting a new quarterback, you're always concerned, how's that going to work out? But Jim Druckenmiller, I think, has played very well, and he's gotten better. I think Coach Bustle's work with him and Jim's dedication, you know, he really came along. And then I was a little concerned in the secondary, but Pearson, Prelo, Lauren Johnson came in there, Larry Green came back and played well for us, so they went with the other guys there. So my two areas of concern, I really think came through for us this year.
We're just days away from the meeting with Texas in the upcoming Sugar Bowl. And before we focus on that, let's look back at 1995.
Champion. It is a word that defines the essence of competition. It is an achievement to which we aspire. But to become a true champion, one must first face, then conquer adversity. In 1995, the men of Virginia Tech football stared adversity square in the eye and never blinked. They earned their championship by daring to search their souls. What they found was the heart to become champions. The journey began on September 7th here at Lane Stadium, Worsham Field. A national television audience tuned in to watch Tech tangle with Boston College. And during the game, they did see peaks of potential.
First down throw, Druckenmiller swings it out to Still. Has the long run to the 30, breaks free to the 40. Ryan Still racing down the right sideline. No one will get him. He will score. Touchdown Tech. Ryan Still, an 80-yard touchdown reception. Marshall back to throw, looking left all the way, and he's hit and sacked by Cornell Brown. Druckenmiller takes the snap, hands it off the fullback Edmonds, and he runs into the end zone. Touchdown Tech.
But on this night, Boston College was champion. The Tech players and coaches went home to look in the mirror at the face of adversity. It was a face that became much too familiar. Everyone thought the Hokies would now begin their championship journey against Cincinnati. But instead, Tech was forced to swallow the bitter taste of defeat again. Suddenly, these men who aspired to be champions found themselves wondering, would this be the beginning or the beginning of the end?
I was really low at the point after, 0-2, but I think I can realize, it's up to us, and nothing has to be that way. So we all came together and looked at each other in the eyes, and they said, we're not going to let this happen.
I think we all felt positive about what we were doing. We knew we had a good team, and all we had to do was get it together.
To that end, the Hokies could not wait any longer. Perennial powerhouse Miami was waiting in the wings. Victory was life itself.
Pass on second down. Too deep for Bryant, still in the run, and he's got it. Here's to give to Thomas. Over the top he goes. Touchdown Tech. Runs to the near sidelines, and this pass is intercepted by Brandon Simonis. There's the snap. Spot is perfect. Larson swings the leg through. The kick is on the way, and the kick is good. Hokies splits him again, and Newsom sacks him back at the 29-yard line. Takes the snap, back to pass. J.C. Price has him. It's going to be a sack. Down he goes. And the punt is blocked. It's rolling free. The Hokies Michael Stewie falls on it. It's up for grabs. Is intercepted by Yarborough. Oxendine runs to the 30. Breaks free to 35 to the 40. Oxendine is racing down the right sideline to cross the 50 to the Miami 40. Ken Coleman coming together. They got him. It's a sack by J.C. Price at the 35-yard line. 3, 2, 1, it is over. 13-7, the final score. As bad as he felt 1 week ago right now, Frank Beamer has probably never felt better.
We worked hard that week. We kept our focus. We knew what the objective was. And in our players, I think you better have some maturity, better have good leadership if you're going to come back and beat a Miami after you started out 0-2.
That was a great test for us and where we were going to finish the rest of the season. And by going out and beating Miami and playing well, that just gave us that extra confidence, which we felt that nobody we played could beat us.
Brown's statement proved prophetic. It was the beginning of a tear that would lead to the once elusive championship. In Pittsburgh, the Hokies had to reach deep inside themselves yet again. Trailing 9-0 at halftime, Tech answered the call.
Here's the snap, and the punt is blocked again by Virginia Tech. Give to Thomas running left to the 15 to the 10-yard line with blockers in front of him. Runs to the 5. He dives to the pylon. He will score. Still is at midfield, and the punt is blocked. He guns it down the field, wide open. Holmes at the 50. There he goes down the 30-yard line. He will take it all the way. Touchdown Tech. Firing it deep, looking for Brian Still. He's out there. He has it at the 50. Down the right sideline, 40, 30, 20, and they trip him up.
In Annapolis, Navy had its battleships poised for combat, but Tech's firepower was too much for the middies.
Rolling left, firing on the run, up for grabs. This pass is intercepted by
From that point on, Virginia Tech outscored its opponents by a whopping margin of 254 to 96. 77 of those points came the very next week against Akron.
All right, now listen to me now, guys. Let's get this thing started out right.
Firing deep down the right sideline. Jermaine Holmes, no, it's White on the run. He's got it, the 15, the 10, the 5, touchdown. And the give is to Marcus Parker running left, crosses the 5, getting into the end zone. Touchdown, Tech. And Druckenmiller throws it over the middle to White on the crossing route to the 10, to the 5. He'll take it in. Touchdown, Tech. Cornell Brown sacks the quarterback. The ball pumps free to the 35 and 30. Turns on the Jets. Albert Clark's going to take it all the way. Touchdown, Tech. And he breaks it free. No one will get him. He started on the 32. He'll end up in the end zone. Touchdown, Tech. What a marvelous run. Marcus Parker to the 30, the 20, the 10. Touchdown, Tech. Give it to the fullback again. There he goes up the middle. He'll take it into the end zone. Touchdown, Tech.
Roberts back with you. We're taking a look at this magnificent, coach, 1995 season. Got off to a little bit of a shaky start, but I would say after the Akron game, Coach, your defense was playing well and it looked like the offense kind of slid into gear there.
I thought the Akron game was really important. Akron, some people would say they're struggling, and they are. They're building that program, but we played well that day, and we scored points, and our defense played well. But, confidence is a wonderful thing, and you can't have confidence unless you know you can do it. And I thought as a football team, we really did it that way, and I'm not sure the Akron game was one of the real important games during the season.
Yeah, you set a boatload of records with your offense that day. And also, Frank, something else there at the beginning of the year, you got off to the 0-2 start, and you said all along how important being in a conference is, and I think that really, it showed there.
Well, I think there's a couple things. The way the season ended up, being 0-2 with your backs flat against the wall and this team coming back, that's very gratifying. I think it even made the season more special. Now, I wouldn't want to go back and start out 0-2 again to test that, but, and you're right, when you play in a conference, there's something left. We were 0-2, but playing Miami. And so we beat Miami. We were right back in the thick of it. And I think we're 2-1 now and getting ready to play 4 straight conference games in this next segment.
Yeah, the Hokies got off to the 0-2 start. Then they bounced back and win 4 straight. Virginia Tech picking up momentum as they would take on 4 straight Big East ball games, and a lot of this work on the road. Let's start with Virginia Tech and Rutgers.
It began with a 45-17 rout of Rutgers.
There's the snap. Hokies come to get Lucas. He's in trouble, and down he goes. And with a hand off to Willis, running left. Look at the Tech defense. Drug dumps it off to Marcus Parker on the left sideline. Throws across the 50 to the 40. Breaks free down the left sideline. 30. Marcus Parker to the 20. Still on the man to the 10. And down to the 7-yard line. He looks. He throws. It's caught by Still. Touchdown, Tech. Hunting is deep for Jermaine Holmes in the end zone. He's got it. Touchdown, Tech. Wayne Thomas has it. Going to cut up behind Malone into the end zone. And then he's hammered down by Cornell Brown. Back to throw is Lucas. They've got him again. Hokies blitz him. Irby hits him. The ball pops up in the air. Hank Coleman caught him in the air. He's running to the 40. Down the sideline to the 30. Hank's going all the way, folks. Touchdown, Tech. Higgins throws left sideline. This pass is intercepted by Newsom. Running down the right sidelines across the 50. Double nickels. Byron Newsom running out of gas. Can he take it all the way? You bet he will. Touchdown, Tech.
Next stop, Morgantown, West Virginia, where the Tech defense played with the stinginess of Ebenezer Scrooge.
Chad goes back to throw. He's in trouble. He is sacked back to the 36-yard line. Hokies coming with an all-out blitz, and Johnston is sacked. Back to throw once again. Fires down the field. The pass is deflected. Intercepted by Green at the 30. Down the sidelines. He will go into the end zone. Touchdown, Tech. Wayne Thomas has it. First free right side. Into the end zone he goes. Johnston back to pass. And there's Cornell with a sack back at the 30-yard line. Druckenmiller back to pass. Dumps it off to the tight end Jennings to the 25 running down the field. Ladies and gentlemen, he will take it into the end zone. Touchdown, Tech.
After stringing together 6 straight wins, the Hokies were now in position to win the Big East Conference title. But on November 4th, Syracuse came to Blacksburg with a 5-game win streak of its own. Still, the ensuing clash of titans never lived up to its billing.
Back to throw is McNabb. He's being pursued, and he is sacked, and
team's burial ground is another's heaven. And soon Hokie fans erupted in celebration. They had anointed their team champions of the Big East Conference. Inside the team's meeting room, Coach Beamer preferred to take a more cautious approach.
We're too close. You played too well. You're too good a football team. Let this thing slip out right now. You hear what I'm saying? 1, 2, 3,
With the crown theirs for the taking, the Hokies traveled to RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. The Temple Owls provided the final hurdle in the league. But Tech was determined. These men, who braved the ever-changing winds of adversity, would not be denied.
Firing it deep, looking for Bryant. Still, he's out there. Touchdown! Tech. The throw, Hokies come together. They've got him at Tech. And a loose football attack. It's picked up by Jim Barrett. He's rumbling down the right sideline. He's going to go all the way. Touchdown! Tech. Bonner back to throw, dumps it off, and it's intercepted by J.C. Price. He's going to run to the 10. Puts the move on. Bonner at the 5. He takes it in the end zone. Touchdown! Tech. Being pursued by J.C. Price. Oh, got him at the sack. Fires it deep for Still. He has it on the 10-yard line. Give it to Parker. Up the middle he goes. In the end zone. Touchdown, Tech.
Not only is it a great team feeling because you know you work so hard for it, but personally, you know what I'm saying, you feel great because you can now call yourself a champion.
I think winning the Big East says we have taken that next step. And I think this is a journey. I think we're on a trip here at Virginia Tech. And it's exciting.
Although the Big East championship had been clinched, the Hokies hoped to continue building momentum en route to a third straight bowl game.
The sale of the year has been extended with unheard of savings. 20.
Sure, you've ripped off 8 straight wins. Who would have thunk it?
Well, it's really fun being a part of that. You know, you get on a good roll, and things happen fast in college football. I mean, it's 11 weeks, and that kind of determines what the rest of your year is going to be like. And you know, when you can get on a good roll, get that momentum, you're playing well and playing a little bit better each week. That's a fun way to go through it.
Coach, was this the most critical stretch, would you say, of your season? These 4 games, all conference games, and you had to have each and every one.
And 3 of them were on the road, I think, without question. But it's like Wes Worsham showed us there in the spot there, that you take one step at a time. And I thought our football team was really very mature. Our coaches really helped them, I think, to stay focused in. But we took each step as it came. I don't think we overlooked anyone. We just stayed right in there and got better. And that's what I've always talked about as a football team. Just continue to get better, and then whatever the results are, you got to accept.
It was kind of rainy. It was kind of overcast, kind of gloomy and ugly, yet it may be the one of the the prettiest day in the history of Virginia Tech football up at RFK Stadium against the Temple Owls. Some big things happened that day for that team and this program.
Well, it really did. And, you know, you get concerned because I think everyone expected us to beat Temple, but that's a dangerous situation because Temple's plenty good enough. They're an improved program. And what happens is that you can't think you're going to win. You need to prepare yourself to win. And I think sometimes when you just assume something's going to happen, all of a sudden, boy, it doesn't. And then panic sets in. But our football team and our coaches, again, didn't let it happen. I thought we made a good preparation. We were ready to play and won us a conference championship.
And we got a sneak peek, an inside look at what it was like in the victorious locker room of the Hokies, you and your team and your coaches, after clinching the Big East championship. How'd that feel?
Felt great. Some of the greatest feelings in the world and some of my greatest moments are in that locker room because that's when you really share it with the players and the people that care about each other. I think it really comes out, and that's some of my greatest moments.
So the Virginia Tech Hokies rip off 8 straight wins. They're back in the top 25, back in the national picture, but there's one game remaining with George Welsh and those Virginia Cavaliers.
A big game. You know, and of course I think this has got new meaning. Certainly Virginia's going through their greatest years, and we're getting ready to play a good football team, a well-coached football team, and a ranked football team. So there's a lot on the line right here.
Let's take you back to Charlottesville. The whole nation looked in, so to speak, at least the East Coast did, as ABC cameras were rolling, as the Virginia Tech Hokies and the Virginia Cavaliers got together for what turned out to be one fantastic finish.
That task would prove difficult as Tech traveled to Charlottesville to play Virginia for the state championship. It was a game that would again require the Hokies to face and conquer adversity.
There's the stab and across the Barber. Look out, he's hammered by Collins. Behind the line of scrimmage. Dumps it over the middle, deflected high into the air and intercepted it in. Popped again into the air and intercepted again. The pass was intercepted twice. Looking right, gonna fire it as deep as he can for Brian Still, who ran by his man. He's got it. What a great grab on the 1-yard line. First down and goal to go. On first down and goal to give it to Washington, and he runs into the end zone. Touchdown, Tech. Play action pass, back to throw, fiery deep again. Brian Still is open once more. He's got it on the 5-yard line. A great grab for Brian Still. Second down and goal from the 2. There's a toss to Dwayne Thomas, running right, straight to the corner. He dives into the end zone. Touchdown, Tech. And they stop the quarterback. Here's the kick by Allen. It's in the air. It is good. Larson drills it home. Being pursued. He's sacked back at the 26-yard line by J.C. Price. Throw back the pass. Down he goes again. Cornell Brown came shooting through there.
Trailing 29-23 with 47 seconds left in the game, the Hokies were determined to test their mettle one more time.
Clock running. Clock runs. The ball is on the 32-yard line. Druckenmiller, the shotgun snap. Takes short, firing it deep into the end zone. And it's caught. It is caught for a touchdown by Jermaine Holmes with 47 seconds left. James Druckenmiller has been here the greatest comeback I've ever seen as he scores a touchdown with 47 seconds left. To Jermaine Holmes, a great comeback start. The snap is high. The spot is good. You think he's good? 47 seconds left, and the Hokies lead by 1. Here we go, the final play of the game. Back to throw is Groh, and he fires it to the near sideline. It's intercepted. It's intercepted by Banks. He's running it all the way down the sideline. The game clock winds out. Antonio Banks takes it in. Touchdown, Tech. The Tech man stormed the field. He ran it back. He ran it back for a touchdown.
We're a team that has overcome adversity all year. You know, we've had things go wrong, and even in certain games we've had things go wrong. And we keep fighting and keep plugging away. And the teams that can overcome adversity are teams that are going to succeed. I think we've done a good job with that.
There's something real about it. And there's something that you just kind of hang on and you keep playing hard. And I thank the good Lord that we got guys like you to hang on to.
Yes, the Virginia Tech Hokies have earned the right to call themselves champions. They did it with a tenacious defense, led by a front line that called itself Death Row. They did it with a blue-collar offense, men of guts, grit, and the ability to get the job done. They did it with men who epitomize the word team.
I've been around a great group of guys who love the game of football, and we love each other and we're a family. This is a big-time blue-collar family atmosphere. And oh, yeah, we're very tight, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the guys been together for a while, and when the new guys come in, they see that everybody else is tight, and it creates a bond between them two also.
There's a tradition of excellence here. The name in itself stands out, and anywhere you go, I think people know it.
You don't win football games. You're not successful if you don't have people, if you don't have players, if you don't have the right kind of people. They've got to have a certain amount of ability, but I think they got to be the right type of people. And this senior class has gone to 3 straight bowls. Just led us to the Big East Conference Championship. They're not only good players, they're good people. They're guys that's going to be successful in life, and I'm really proud of that.
But before those seniors go off to make their mark on the world, there is one more game to play.
When you travel to southwestern Virginia, plan to stay in the classic beauty.
Tech fans, as the Hokies rally, storm from behind to knock off the Virginia Cavaliers. Frank, big teams win big games.
Well, that was a great game, and the way we won it, coming back the way we did, that was special because we came back against a good football team. But, you know, we probably should have had a clue to the whole thing when we came back from an 0-2 start. I don't think you do that. I don't think you come back against a good football team like Virginia unless you got some special people on your football team. And as I said in the locker room afterwards, there's just special people. It's good leadership. It's good character. It's guys that will play to the end. And, you know, there's a lot to be said for that, not only in the football field, but in life, and that's I like his football team.
Yeah, and I think you should like this football team. You had 11 players make either first or second team All Big East, and that says volumes.
Well, it does, and you don't win the games that we won unless you do have good players. But, you know, when I think about the people that did make it, I always think about the ones that didn't. And we had some guys. Hank Coleman played great down the stretch. Brian Jennings, and there's others. I'm missing some people, but I'm real proud for the ones that did make All Big East.
Let's take a look at these players who stood above the crowd in their conference as voted on by their peers. And to give us an inside look, here's the voice of the Virginia Tech Hokies, Mr. Bill Roth.
Virginia Tech and Miami dominated the 1995 All-Big East team. In fact, of Tech's 22 starters, 11 of them were named either first or second team All-Big East. Miami had 8 such players named to the respective teams. Virginia Tech placed 4 players on the first team defense, led by Cornell Brown. The league's Defensive Player of the Year set a conference record with 14 sacks this season. Brown was named the Big East Defensive Player of the Week, a record 4 times in 1995. Joining Cornell on the first team is J.C. Price, Tech senior defensive tackle from Dunkirk, Maryland. Price was also named third-team All-American by the Associated Press this season and was never better than in the Miami game when he had 9 tackles and 4 sacks. George Del Rico, Tech senior linebacker from Seabrook, Maryland, also made the Big East first team. Del Rico became only the second Tech player in school history to post 3 consecutive 100-tackle seasons. Safety William Yarborough also made the Big East first teams after his senior year. The Warwick High School product from Newport News led Tech with 5 interceptions in 1995. 2 other Hokies made the All-Big East second team on defense. Linebacker Brandon Simonis from Salem was honored. Who will forget his key breakup of a pass in the final seconds of the Virginia game? Junior safety Torian Gray from Lakeland, Florida, also earned second team All-Big East honors for Virginia Tech. On offense, Tech's offensive lineman Chris Malone was honored on the Big East first team. The senior from Emporia started 46 straight games for the Hokies. And how about Jim Druckenmiller? In his first year as Tech's starting quarterback, Druck was named second team All-Big East in balloting by the league's coaches. The junior from Northampton, Pennsylvania was second in the conference in passing yardage and threw for 14 touchdowns. Senior Dwayne Thomas also made the All-Big East second team. The senior from Fort Myers, Florida, was 5th in the league in rushing and scored 4 touchdowns in his senior season for Tech. Lineman Jay Haygood from Easley, South Carolina, is another former Fork Union player named All-Big East for Virginia Tech. The 300-pound junior tackle was an outstanding blocker for the Hokies, including the flanker screen. Center Billy Connerty, the junior from New Jersey, also named to the Big East second team. Connerty broke his ankle in the Virginia game, but hopes to be back for the Sugar Bowl. For sure, Connerty will be back next year as the premier center in the Big East Conference. Overall, Miami will return 7 players from the All-Big East team for next year. Tech and Syracuse will each return 6 honorees. The Offensive Player of the Year in the Big East was Marco Battaglia of Rutgers. Battaglia is a first-team All-American and a surefire first-round NFL pick as well. Cornell Brown is the Defensive Player of the Year after a superb senior season for Virginia Tech. The Coach of the Year in the Big East, none other than Virginia Tech's Frank Beamer. The 50-year-old Beamer, in his 9th year at Tech, rallied the Hokies from an 0-2 start to the Big East title in 1995 and the Sugar Bowl berth.
Imagine a nice, juicy, lean
Special from Blacksburg, Virginia. Frank Beamer. I'm Greg Roberts. Folks, when you talk about Big East honors, there was one player on this Virginia Tech team that really stood above the rest. He was named the Big East Defensive Player of the Year, and it's none other than Virginia Tech sack machine Cornell Brown. This kid, Coach, you said it when you recruited him. You said he's going to be the real deal, and it looks like he is.
Yeah, he's a real player. He's a guy that has great ability, but, you know, I really enjoy watching him play. When he's cranked up, he enjoys playing, and that's what I've always said. This game should be fun, and Cornell, to me, is perfect because he's a guy that can play, but he enjoys playing, and I think he leads a lot of other people just by his action and how he plays.
And the best part of all of this is Virginia Tech fans, you will get another year to work with Cornell. The Hokie fans will get another year to see him in action. He still has a year left.
Well, he does, and I think he'll only get better. I think he'll start out of the blocks next year as the leader for the Outland Trophy. He's going to be involved with a lot of awards, and Cornell, he'll tell you, I don't think the awards are as important as his relationship with his teammates, what he gets accomplished, and I think he's going to have a great career at the next level. He's a player.
Cornell Brown, folks, he's the Big East Defensive Player of the Year and much, much more. His resume, very impressive.
He is the most honored junior in Virginia Tech football history, a consensus first-team All-American, and the Big East Defensive Player of the Year. Cornell Brown from Lynchburg's E.C. Glass High School is one of the finest defensive players in the nation. Using a combination of speed and strength, Brown led the Big East with 14 sacks and had 48 quarterback hurries. He finished the season in the top 5 nationally in both tackles for losses and sacks. The postseason honors included the Dudley Award as the top player in Virginia. Cornell was named the National Defensive Player of the Year by the Football News. 3 times this season, Cornell Brown was the Big East Player of the Week. You'll remember at West Virginia, Brown led a Tech defense that had 16 tackles behind the line of scrimmage and 8 quarterback sacks. The Hokies' 27-0 shutout in Morgantown was one of Brown's best games. The following week, in Tech's win over Syracuse, Brown had an even better game. He forced 2 fumbles, had 9 tackles, and 3 sacks of the elusive Syracuse quarterback, Donovan McNabb. He truly was the MVP of Tech's football team. But not only does Cornell Brown have the skills and talent to be one of the nation's best players, he's also a good recruiter. In fact, Brown hosted Tech's recruiting tape, which the Tech coaches show to recruits.
My name is Cornell Brown, defensive end here at Virginia Tech. This is Lane Stadium, Worsham Field, home of the Virginia Tech Hokies. And this is where you can find me and 65 of my closest friends spending our Saturday afternoon in the fall. I like being on this field when this place is filled with thousands of people. This is our head coach's office. Coach Beamer's not here right now, so I'll make myself at home.
Margaret, I'll be in my office.
I really enjoy our coaches. One thing about our coaches is they really care about their players, both on and off the field. And that means a lot to me. That's one of the main reasons why I came here to Tech. This is our weight room, and this is one of my favorite places to hang out. And this is where you'll learn how to sweat blood. This is Coach Gentry right here.
Let's get it done, Cornell.
He's in charge of our strength program. Coach G tells us that winning begins in here.
Way to work.
This is the academic advising office. It's just one floor up from the football office. And this is where your life after football begins. One thing about Coach Beamer, if you don't work hard in the books, you'll never see the playing field. There are a lot of people here who want to help you earn your degree.
Cornell, let's get back to these problems.
But ultimately, it's up to you. We play in the Big East Conference, which allows us to play some of the best schools in the country. If you want to play on TV, you'll have plenty of opportunities here. This year we played on TV 6 times. These are some of my teammates. We're like one big family around here. One thing I really like is we stay together on and off the field, and I have teammates from just about everywhere.
Torian Gray from Lakeland, Florida. Jay Haygood, Eastern South Carolina. Gennaro Napoli, Casanova, New York. Ken Oxford, Chester, Virginia. Mike Bryant, Pittsburgh, PA.
Otto Larson, Sola, Norway.
Jimmy Barron, Chicago, Illinois. Billy Connolly, Pensacola, New Jersey.
And I'm from Lynchburg, Virginia. That's right up the road from here. And I hope to see you next year in the Hokie Huddle.
So now you know even more about Cornell Brown, a leading candidate for the 1996 Outland Trophy, Virginia Tech's best defensive player since Bruce Smith.
Well, Cornell Brown isn't the only guy in Blacksburg who raked in some big honors. Frank Beamer, a unanimous choice for the Big East Coach of the Year. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it very much, but it's really a reflection on our coaching staff, on our players. Our coaches do the coaching. I try to keep things organized, try to keep out of their way, don't get them messed up. And our players, they're the ones that really deserve this award. So what I'm involved with is with these awards, it goes right back, and it's just really a reflection of the program that we got.
Well, you're being too modest there, Frank. Congratulations on a huge honor. You've got this team in 3 straight bowl games. You're headed to the Sugar Bowl. I'm saying you're very deserving of that award.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. All right, now let's talk about this, Coach. Not only did you win this, but you're also under consideration for the National Coach of the Year, one of the 6 finalists. That's huge as well.
Well, it is. And again, I think it's good exposure for our program. Again, anytime the name Virginia Tech is used in a national way, then I think that's good. So, again, it goes back to the people in the program.
And speaking of being used in a national way, Virginia Tech's program, folks, right out there in the forefront. Only 6 teams in the country get a chance to appear in Alliance Bowls, and Virginia Tech is one of the 6. December 3rd, 1995. That very well may be the biggest date in the history of Virginia Tech football. On that Sunday, the College Football Alliance sprang to life. The Hokies gathered in Blacksburg to look in as they themselves became a part of college football history. Only 6 teams in the nation earned the privilege of making the alliance. Frank Beamer and his club qualified by winning the 1995 Big East Championship. The other 5 participants, Tom Osborne and the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Steve Spurrier and the Florida Gators, Lou Holtz and his Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, John Makovic and the Texas Longhorns, and Bobby Bowden and the Florida State Seminoles. The alliance is set up to provide a true national championship game. In theory, number 1 versus number 2, and that's just what happened.
The people of the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl are honored today to invite the top-ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers to match up against the second-ranked University of Florida Gators in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl January 2nd in Tempe.
So it works. The Cornhuskers and the Gators in the Fiesta for the national championship.
How could it have been improved this year in its first year, do you think?
Well, I'm not sure it could have been improved, Jim. I think it worked the way we anticipated it would work. We put together the 1 and 2 selection that would have not been possible before the Alliance went this route, because obviously Nebraska would have been down in Miami and Florida would have been in New Orleans and could not have played.
The Orange Bowl set its lineup choosing Notre Dame and the Seminoles of Florida State. So that left the Sugar Bowl, and here is the official announcement.
So for the record, let's make it official and go back to you, Troy, in New Orleans.
We are enthusiastic, Jim, about having the Virginia Tech Hokies play the Texas Longhorns in our 62nd Classic.
So it's Virginia Tech and the Texas Longhorns New Year's Eve in the Sugar Bowl. After that announcement, Texas coach John Makovic and Hokies head coach Frank Beamer commented in front of the entire nation.
We played 2 of the top 5 defensive teams in the country in the last 2 weeks, and now we turn and we're going to play Virginia Tech, and guess where they're ranked? Right up there in the top 3 in the country. So I wish Frank didn't have to bring that defense with him, but we know we'll have to get ready for it all over again.
Well, you 2 coaches will be facing each other for the first time, but Frank, let me ask you started the year with a couple of losses. Did you ever imagine that come the end of the regular season that Virginia Tech would be one of the 6 Alliance teams in the mix?
Well, we've been on a good run. Our team's playing very well, and I'm really proud of them. To come back from 0-2 and be facing Miami and win that football game says a lot about the type of players we have in the program, and I'm proud to bring this group to New Orleans.
How are you prepared to handle the situation if Miami was eligible and the Hurricanes co-champs in your league, but you beat them head-to-head, and the Canes likely would have been taken ahead of you? How would you have handled that with your players?
Well, we went right back to work, and we're trying to move up to the top of the college football world. And if we didn't get there this year, we'd go back to work and get there next year. We went to the Gator Bowl last year, and those people just treated us great, and so that wasn't a bad choice if we didn't make this one.
Real quick, an estimate, how many fans will you be bringing along there, Frank?
I think we're going to bring a bunch. We've got a great following, a great situation going here, and I know Texas is going to bring a lot, and we're going to bring a lot. There's going to be a lot of happy Hokies down there on Bourbon Street.
We've had a lot of good things happen to our program in the past few years, but none is the quality or as big as what has happened today.
This is the first time that we've ever gone to a bowl of this size, and this is the first time, but we don't plan on it being the last.
For cars that can benefit from higher octane...
Frank, we're late.
Certainly aren't done. We're coming back from New Orleans next week. Side of the Sugar Bowl, it's Virginia Tech and Texas. Coach, we got more to talk about.
We sure do, and I know most of our Tech fans are going to be down there in New Orleans with us, but the ones that's back here, then they need to tune in next week.
Yeah, make sure you tune in, folks. Again, the Sugar Bowl, December 31st, New Year's Eve. It's going to be played in the evening. Check it out before you go out and ring in the new year. For Virginia Tech head football coach Frank Beamer, I'm Greg Roberts. Happy holidays, everyone, and thanks for tuning in.